Okay. So last time we talked about who's a sthita-prajna, because um, Arjun asked Bhagwan Krishna that what does a gnani look like? What does a sthita-prajna look like? Sthita-prajna means someone who's sthit in pragya. Pragya is knowledge. So someone who's very sthit in his knowledge, that person, what does it look like? Which is a gnani, in other words. And Bhagwan Krishna had said, the very nice shlok that we went through last time. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. This one. Atmaneva atmanaha tushtaha sthit pragya tadochyate. So he was saying that two things he said about sthit pragya. One, he said that all these desires which come to the mind, the sthit pragya lets them go. He doesn't follow up on them. He lets them go. And the second thing he said was he's atmanaha tushtaha. That means he is content within himself. He's not looking for things external for contentment. And the two things are connected with each other. So first thing we said was that it's not as if a jnani doesn't have desires, that these things don't show up in jnani's mind. What Bhagwan said was that they show up, but the jnani doesn't follow up on them. He has the ability to let them go. Things come, things go. Desires come, desires go. Thoughts and feelings come, they go. So he has a very good grasp of what to follow up on and what not to. So he has that discrimination. Not everything which comes to his mind gets followed through. If it turns out to be something which he feels, his buddhi feels, is not right, he has the discrimination to say, let it go. These things happen. So to us, it won't seem like he has desires or not, but he knows that the Jnani also has these desires. He's also human. But he knows which ones to go after and which ones to forget or let them just go. And then he's also Atmani eva Atmanaha Tushta. That means he is also happy in himself. And that is key, because if you're not happy in yourself, then you will run after all desires, because then you're looking for the desires to make you happy. So if you feel you're not happy, you need things, you need outside things to make you happy, then desires rule you rather than you rule your desires. But if you are happy amongst yourself, within yourself, then you can decide what desires to pursue and what not to pursue, what makes sense. So that is the big thing he said here. Then we also said in the last shlok that we did last time that like a turtle, like a turtle has the ability to withdraw its limbs within itself. So a jnani also has the ability to withdraw his senses, his sense organs within himself. So desires and senses and sense objects and sense organs, they are all connected in Gita. So you have to understand this, that our desires occur, our temptations occur through sense organs. Everything, we never think about it like this. We think about the sense objects. So there is something called a sense object, and then there is something called the sense organ. So what we see, a beautiful scenery, let's say you get a nice brochure on the mail of lovely Costa Rica scenery, and you say, I have to go to Costa Rica, right? Or let's say Norway or somewhere like that. So that brochure and that scenery in your mind and that Norway, all of that, those are sense objects. Those are objects in the world. But you see them because of your eyes, because of your sense organs. So when you say, or another person, for example, you are in love with somebody, your children, your husband, wife, whatever, those are sense objects. But your sense organs are the ones who provide that information to you. So sense organs are your eyes, your skin, your touchability, all the things by which that information comes. Your mind even is a sense organ. That's also an indriya. So all that information comes to your mind. So your sense organs are the things that get the information from the sense objects. And this is a little clinical, but all our desires, howsoever valuable they are and howsoever noble we might think they are or not, they all are connected with some sense object, and they all we experience them through our sense organs. If you also include the mind as a sense organ. So sense object, sense organ, those are and our experience, they are like a connected chain. So when he says that the jnani has the ability to withdraw his or her sense organs within himself, it means that the jnani has the ability to not get affected by the sense objects. You can't do anything to the sense objects, right? Let's say you have some temptation out there which you think is not a good, you shouldn't go after. Let's say whatever that is, you can't do anything about it. That is part of the world. That will remain. So you can't change the sense objects. The objects are what they are. What you can do is manage your sense organs. That's all you can do. And basically, what it means is you can manage your reaction to what's out there. So a jnani cannot change the world. A jnani is not suddenly going to say, because I am here, the world is going to be all good and pleasant things, nothing unpleasant, all pious, pure things. He can't do that. He's still living in the same world as we are living. But the jnani has control over his sense organs. That means he has control over his reactions. His sense organs, when they give this information, including his mind, doesn't get all agitated and start pursuing everything and running after it, because there is discrimination, there's buddhi. So the control is always sense organs. So when we talk about yogis, when we say ये yogi है, वो क्या करते हैं? The yogis जो होते हैं वो अपने sense organs पे control करते हैं. That's how it is. That's how it is said, but that's what it means. So a yogi is a person who can control his sense organs.
But really, the only sense organ you mean is the mind, right? You can't control if you smell something, you're going to smell it. If you see something, whatever, you can't control those, right?
No, no, no. Yeah, that
Just
exactly.
mind.
It's basically what it means is your reaction. You control your reaction. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Right? You'll still smell and hear and everything, but lead you. It's not going to lead you into action without thought. So now, in that context now, so we understand sense object, sense organs, and reaction. Like this is a little bit of a conceptual framework that we have to get in Gita, because otherwise they won't be able to convey what they have to convey. Then we go on to today's shlok. So today's shlok is more a deeper understanding of this. He says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasvarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So Vishaya is a sense organ. Actually, Vishya means a sense object, but in this particular case, he means a sense organ. It actually doesn't matter. Vishya vinivartante means to return. Nir aharasya. Nir ahar means food, right? So nir ahar means something which is not fed. Someone who is not fed, who is not being fed. Dehina. Dehina is the is dehi basically. So of the dehi who is a nirahara, that means of a dehi who does not feed his senses. That means the dehi who's not feeding senses, meaning like doesn't blindly follow senses, is not dictated by his senses. For that dehi, the Vishya vinivartante. That means the Vishya, the sense organs return. Just like we said in the above one, in this one, that the senses return into the turtle, right? Like a turtle, you can withdraw in return, you withdraw your senses. So he's saying, yes, for a person who is practiced, a big yogi, he has control. he will see things around him, yet not be influenced. He'll have through the power of his will, through his siddhi, he will be able to control. So his senses are not going to be led purely by the sense objects. That means he is not going to be in this world in the control of the world around him. आज मुझे ये चाहिए, कल मुझे वो चाहिए, ये अच्छा है, वो बुरा है. His life is all about this. He won't be like that, right? Because he is a yogi, he has control. But very interesting now. He says rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. What he's saying is that even for this person, although he can withdraw his senses, but the rasa means the taste for material things, that will not be there. That will not be returned. In other words, through will and effort, you can control your senses, but you can't control the longing which is there in your mind. You can't control the longing through yoga. So I'll read it out for you because it's said in English. It says, "For the one who does not feed the senses come back to oneself, with the longing remaining behind. Having seen Brahman, in other words, when the self is known, even the longing goes away." So, first sentence is, "For the one who does not feed the senses come back to oneself with the longing remaining behind." It means that he's really talking about how powerful our senses are, how powerful our attraction is to this world, to the things in this world. Because you can try all kinds of siddhis, you can try all kinds of meditations, willpower, sab kuch kar kara ke, you will say, I am not going to be, I will keep myself in control. There are a lot of people who do that. They are disciplined, they want to keep themselves in control. You can see they are, they're trying so hard with the willpower, they're controlling things. But the longing is not, cannot be controlled. The taste is still there. So, for example, there are many people who say, I'm going to go take sannyas. I'll go live in the Himalayas or in the jungle or wherever. And you can do all that. And you can eat very little portions of food and very basic things, live with very basic, wear basic clothes, subject yourself to all kinds of austerities. But he says, okay, you can do all that, but your mind deep inside the longing is still there, is still with the world. And he explains this, Shankaracharya explains this. He says one day that thing is going to just explode. One experience, something is going to happen, it's going to trigger, and this whole deck of cards is going to come crashing down because the longing is still there. So Swami Dayanand, he gave an example, he gives an example of an alcoholic who has tried very hard to restrain himself from alcohol. But if he has nothing better in his life, if his life is just the same as before, and all he's doing is restraining himself from alcohol, the longing for alcohol is still there. The reason why he went into alcohol in the first place is still there. So he can restrain himself for 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years with a lot of effort and will. But one day he will break and the whole thing will go back. He'll go right back. So the way to, for example, to get rid of addiction is to have a better addiction, something newer, something more important, which is feeding whatever was the emptiness which the alcohol fed you. So it's the same thing here. If you don't, if all you're doing is controlling yourself and controlling your temptation and controlling your longing because you think, oh, this is the right thing to do, this is my duty, ये मुझे करना चाहिए, this is the way to live, मैंने पाप नहीं करना, then you're kidding yourself. What you have to find out is why is the longing there in the first place? Why are you running after these things? Because you're missing something in life. And you have to get that what you are missing from some other bigger, better place. Then, then you can say that, okay, I'm a gnani. That means my longing is also gone. And he says that having seen Brahman, that means, in other words, when you know the self, even the longing goes. Because then you realize that what you get through Brahman, through knowing yourself, is far, far, far better, far more joyous, far more fulfilling than anything this world can give. So, till you have that experience, your longing for the world will remain. Okay, so I'm going to explain this a little bit more because even now, I don't think this just by itself we won't get it. So, then I'm going to ask you guys a question, which is why are we doing all this? Why are we reading the Gita? Why are we going on this path or this journey? We say हमको ईश्वर की प्राप्ति चाहिए, ब्रह्मन प्राप्ति चाहिए. ये क्या है? What does it mean? Anybody knows or any idea, any guesses? What's your purpose for reading the Gita?
Mine is to become a better person.
A better person? Right. Okay. That's
Curiosity.
Yeah.
curiosity. Yeah.
Yeah. Also.
Which is fine. Which is fine.
And also, hoping that it will help me with some improvement in myself, self-improvement.
Yeah. I think we all have something similar. Like, but the clarity is still not there in terms of exactly what we are looking for. We think something good will come out of it, but we don't know what that good is. We don't know, because so many people have gone around reading the Gita, everybody around us, people that we know, they have been telling us it's a good thing to do. Following Vedanta is a good thing to do. We've heard things like, oh, it will give you ananda. So we say, okay, let's see what that anand is like. Or it will improve your life, make you a better person. Let's see what that better person is like. But it takes time for us to develop a clarity on exactly what it is that we want. Because if we don't have the clarity on exactly what we want, exactly what our end state is, we will be a little bhatkoing, a little bit. We are trying to figure out. So what this verse is trying to tell you is trying to bring you that clarity. Actually, what is it that you will get which will make your longing for the rest of this world go away? What will you get which will make you disciplined? Which discipline will become natural for you. You don't have to apply your will to become disciplined. So that he said is Brahman Prapti. And what that actually means is, we talked about this in the beginning. We said there's a difference between pleasure and peace and contentment and fulfillment, meaning. So when we talk about pleasure and pain, two sides of the same coin, we are talking about experience. We're talking about an experience of something joyful, like meeting kids or, you know, traveling or getting something good, desires fulfilled. All these things, we are looking for meaning in our life. We're looking for, okay, this is meaningful. If I don't have those things, I don't have meaning. Then what am I? What am I doing? Right? We are looking for meaning, but we are looking for meaning from experiences. So we have pleasure. Pleasure and pain is one part of things. Pleasure and pain come from our sense organs. Everything that we've experienced so far is basically from our sense organs. Even if you are, you know, with a loved one, it is through your senses that you are understanding and communicating with the loved one. If your sense organs had completely disappeared, you couldn't see anything, you couldn't hear anything, you couldn't touch, feel anything, there will be no experience of even the loved one, which we want so much, right? So, sense organs are a very important mediator for all these experiences. But what is peace? Peace is very different. Peace is peace means it's not about whether I'm getting a good experience or a bad experience, whether I'm getting a pleasure or a pain. It's about my understanding of myself, my feeling or my knowledge of myself. And one way that Swamiji talks about it is by saying, do you think that you are a person who needs improvement? Do you think you're a person who needs, um, something more? Or do you think, or I mean, do you accept yourself, in other words? Or do you accept yourself with conditions which say, okay, if I have this, I will be more acceptable to myself? Or do you accept yourself right now the way you are, completely and totally, absolutely where you are? That is the difference. In other words, if you knew that whatever it is you're looking for, that improvement in yourself, or that acceptance of yourself, or meaning in your life, or all these, really fundamental things which drive us, really fundamental. We don't think about it, but they're very fundamental. If you think that you don't have them and you need to do things in order to get them, right? That is one state. That's an agyani, not a jnani. For a jnani understands that all these things, meaning, completeness, all of them, their real source is our own nature. If I could just understand that and I could experience that peace through my nature, with independent of my experience outside, that's what it means to be Brahma Prapti. So if you're looking for anything else from the Gita, yes, you'll get other things. But this is Gita's big thing that you can get. This is the ultimate ambition. This is
बच्चों
what
का
is
ये
called nirvana,
गद्दी
or
रख
this is what is called
गद्दी रख लो
nirvana, or
फोन है ना राधा बंद हो जाना
any of these. क्या कहते हैं? Moksha. This is what it is. It means a complete acceptance of yourself just the way you are, and getting that fulfillment right now from yourself just the way you are. No change needed, because you can keep improving yourself. There is no limit to improvement. There's no end to improvement. This can only come through knowledge. This can't come through working, doing good things, improving yourself, becoming better, because that is a lifelong exercise. That'll never end. We have lived 65, 70 years doing that, and we are still doing that. And we will keep doing that till we die. But that is fine. But you can also right now understand that the way you are right now is perfectly fine. You can full acceptance. That is what is meant by Brahman Prapti. That means you recognize yourself as Brahman. You recognize yourself as Ishwar, which is what you actually are. Ishwar doesn't need change. When you say, I want to become better or I want to improve, you're talking about your mind, you're talking about your body, all those things, right? Those are the things that need to improve. Those are the things that has all the desires and everything. But there is something within you which is underneath all this. You access that, and you'll you'll get so much joy that your longing goes away. Longing for the world goes away. You'll still enjoy the world. You'll still in fact, you might even enjoy the world even more, because you'll enjoy it without fear. So that's what we are we are looking for. So I mean, I know that it's very hard to communicate and very hard to understand in 10 or 15 minutes, but this is just a first sort of flavor. We'll keep visiting this, or you guys should keep visiting it when you can, uh, to better understand this, at whenever it
Like,
works for you.
like,
Okay. So once you have that satisfaction of yourself, from within yourself, then it will be very natural for you you'll be able to compare and see, okay, I'm getting those things from me. That's what I want. That joy. Then your longing for all the things around you will just go. That's what this thing means. Otherwise, otherwise you will require a whole lot of effort, lot of willpower to do those, to control yourself, to become somebody, or behave in a way which is acceptable to you, to your own self concept. There'll be a lot of effort involved, and it'll come crashing down at one stage someday. You can only go so far. So that's what Bhagwan Krishna is saying in 2.59. Okay? Having seen Brahman, that means when the self is known, even the longing goes away. And you got to just understand what having seen Brahman means. He's saying param drishtva. Param Drishtva means having seen the Paramatma, the Param, which is Brahman, which is you, right? Rasa api nivartate. That means even the ras, even the longing goes. Nivartate means goes. Okay? And he's further explaining this, further emphasizing. He's saying, indeed, the powerful senses forcefully take the mind away. The next verse. Konteya, that is Arjun, of even the person who makes effort, who sees clearly. That means the senses are so powerful. So he's now talking about somebody called who vipashtitaha. If you see this here. If you remember, पहले एक उसमें इसने कहा था अविपश्चिताहा, someone who doesn't see clearly. जब उसने बताया था the person is getting, those people get deluded by the Vedas. So now he's talking about vipashchitaha. Vipashchitaha is someone who sees clearly, who has knowledge, who understands that I am Brahman. Even that person, even that person who has knowledge, even his indriyani pramathini. Pramathini means extremely strong. So very, very strong indriyas. Our senses are so strong that they haranti. That means they kidnap. Prasabham manaha. They kidnap forcefully. Prasabham is forcefully our mind. So even for a person who sees very clearly, who's knowledgeable, who's vivek, who has got vivek, that means who understands that I am the self. My knowledge comes from, my satisfaction comes from me. Even for that person, the indriyas are so powerful, the senses are so powerful, the world, the attractions of the world are so powerful that they kidnap that person's mind with force. Okay? Yatata means someone who makes an effort. And he api, meaning also. If a person who sees clearly and one who's making an effort, even for him, the senses, the world is, the temptations are so powerful, we are so beholden to our senses that our mind gets kidnapped sometime or the other. So then what do we do? He said that its senses are very powerful. They can kidnap us anytime. Just making effort is not enough. Just doing will is not enough. You have to know yourself. Then he says, even when you know yourself, even after you know yourself, you can still get kidnapped. So then what?
Your pen.
Huh? Sorry. Okay, I thought you were asking something.
Sorry. No,
If you
sorry.
guys want to chat, you can go ahead and do it. Just mute your whatever.
Hmm.
Tani Sarvani. Okay. So then he says this. Tani Sarvani. These all samayam. So I'll read out the English first. So may the one who's endowed with discrimination, that means this guy, Vipashchitaha, who's discriminating, keeping all the sense organs in one's hand, sit in contemplation of me. For the one who has all the sense organs under control, the knowledge is well established. So the key he's saying here is, I mean, in the translation and just reading it doesn't really come across properly. You have to see the commentary. He's saying that even this person who has knowledge should sit in contemplation of me. By me, he doesn't mean me, Krishna Bhagwan. It means me, which is your param, your reality, that you are the Brahman. Sit in contemplation of that Brahman. So this is the technique. It's Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. So you can know it all, but still your habits and the world and your mind can take you all over the place. So for that, you have to, through contemplation, through thinking about it, through putting your mind on it all the time, not all the time, but often enough, you make your knowledge steadfast. And that's how you become a gnani. So, so there are three phases to how we learn, how we become a gnani. I'm, if I'm going too fast, please tell me, okay? Or ask questions. I'll just, we'll get this and then we are done. So with this one last concept. So the first thing we do to understand ourselves is listen. We listen to the Gita or any of these because it's opening up your mind. It's telling you things you never thought about. you never you never imagined. It's telling you something about yourself which you never imagined. It's telling you something about the world you never imagined. So it takes time to understand what is being said. Invariably, we will all get it wrong the first time. We will hear what makes sense to us at that moment and not hear what exactly doesn't make sense to us. It's too much to understand it all in one go. So we go through a process which can take months and years. It's called Shravanam. In Shravanam, you will hear what is being said and then you will ask questions because you'll think you got it and suddenly you'll say, no, it looks like I didn't get it. Then you will ask, you'll have a doubt, you'll ask the question. So, for example, if I say Atma, what is Atma, right? It will take a long time to really understand what is meant by Atma. So we'll say all kinds of things. First, I will tell you it's like electricity. Then you'll have an image in your mind. Then I'll tell you it's like space. You have a different image in your mind, right? Then I will say it's like a point, an infinite point. You'll have a different image in your mind. So every time you think you've got it, you realize you haven't actually got it. So that process of really getting it through repeated listening and inquiry through different ways, looking at it from different points of view is called Shravanam. So Shravanam means now I understand what Gita or Vedanta is trying to tell me. What it's trying to tell me about me, what it's trying to tell me about Atma, and when it says you are the source of your own happiness, what exactly does it mean? Because even now we've got an idea, you heard it, but we don't really get it. So that is Shravanam. What and then you do Mananam. Mananam means now you say, okay, I understand it, but how do I know that this is right? Maybe this is wrong. Maybe what Gita really doesn't know. अभी तक तो we've never questioned it because we are just curious. We just want to know what it's saying. But when you start to commit yourself to this learning, then you need even more guarantee because you're not going to commit yourself to something which you have doubts in. If it's just something you listen to and चलते में जा रहा है ठीक है, that's fine. But one day you'll say, okay, let me see, maybe I should commit myself. Then you'll have all kinds of doubts. You'll need all kinds of assurances that what it's saying is right. It's asking me to change the way I look at the world. Why? I need more guarantees before I do that. That is called mananam, intellectual clarity as to why this is right. That takes time.
It's open.
And when you have that intellectual clarity, when you have complete understanding, you are a vipaschitaha. Vipaschita means a person who sees clearly. And what this verse is saying is that even that person,
Hello?
Anjimita,
No, sorry.
okay, you. So even that person uh, will be led astray, will have doubts. So then you go to the third part of it, which is called nididhyasana, which is contemplation. So contemplation on yourself. So there you you contemplate upon the things that you know. You actually think about it, try and see, is this connecting with my life? Is it making sense with what I understand the rest of my life? And that's nididhyasana. So he is talking about a person who now is a vipaschita. Even that person who has clear knowledge is still liable to get to be a creature of habits, his habit, and get affected by the indriyas. So that person should be तानी सर्वाणी samamyam. So ये सबको अपने हाथ में लेके युक्तः, one who has that in his hand, आसीत matparaha. Asit means one person should sit matparaha with his mind on me. By me he means, again, he doesn't mean me as Krishna Bhagwan. He means your essential nature, Brahman. वशे ही यस्य इंद्रियाणि, जिसके वश में ये इंद्रियां हैं, तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. उसकी नॉलेज इज साउंड. ही इज द ज्ञानी.
Nitu, can I ask something?
Yeah.
You know how sometimes in Gita there are these seemingly simplistic statements like the one whose senses are in control will get gyan. So as though it's a simple sequential steps, which is different from how it says in the Upanishads. But it says, okay, get your senses under control and then you can get gyan. But it's actually both of them play upon each other, right? The more gyan you have, the more your senses will be under control. The more your senses are under control, the more gyan you will have.
Right. Yeah, it's that.
Okay, so so that means it just has to be unpacked properly, whatever,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Rupa.
So basically, he's saying you have no desires, right?
No, no, he's not saying that. He's not saying
Means,
have no
yeah,
desires. He's saying if you just try to
have
say
no
I have no
longing.
desires, you're bound to fail.
Yeah, but
That's
he
what
says
he's
that
saying.
you'll have control over your longings if you.
No, you'll have control over your longings when? If you know yourself.
Yeah. So know yourself means you just be at peace the way you are. That's what he's saying, right?
That's what you understand right now. That's what we
Uh,
understand right now, right?
uh,
But that's
uh,
not only what he's saying.
uh-huh.
He's
What does
saying, do you realize that first of all, do you realize right now that at the core of us, deep down, we are searching for meaning? Do you
Mhm,
realize that?
mhm,
Do you
mhm.
realize that you have a problem? Or do you think that everything is hunky dory, there's no problem? Because that also is fine. A lot of us are deluding ourselves by saying, हम तो बिल्कुल ठीक है, हमारी जिंदगी first class है, we are fine. The other person has problems, I am okay. You are not okay, I am okay.
Mhm.
Right? If that is the state we are in, like, then we are not ready for the Gita yet. Then we need to live our life a little bit more. If you feel that I don't have a problem.
No, what is this ultimate truth of knowing myself? What is this knowledge about myself that we
मैं
need to
वही तो
know?
बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. I'm trying to explain it, right?
Hmm.
Which is that first is to understand what is the problem. Is there a problem? Because most of the time, we are successful people. We are generally what we call fortunate ones. We can say that someone living in Africa in poverty has a problem. Even someone living in India in pollution has a problem, right? But you don't have a problem, Billu, maybe even you living in pollution in India doesn't have a problem. So the wrong example. But you could say that someone who doesn't have
Who's not
a
privileged, who's
big
not
plot in
that.
defense colony has a problem. You have no problem. Or you have some problems, but we all have problems. ऐसा तो ये नहीं हो सकता कि हमारी problem zero है. Nobody has
Hmm.
zero problems. But
Right.
compared to everybody else, I am in a good place,
Yeah, right. Hmm.
right? This is how
Hmm.
we feel. And then we continue. Then we are fine. So then at that point, what is Gita? Gita is going to say, okay, amongst many other things that I have, I will get some knowledge from Gita also. Maybe there's something nice. Maybe it's a good thing to have. Maybe it'll do me some other more good. I'll become even better. Whatever. This is how we will approach it, and that is totally fine. That is how we start. But to really understand, first we have to understand that we actually have a problem. It doesn't matter whether I'm rich or poor, whether, in my opinion, I'm better than the other person or not. Eventually, everybody thinks that they are somehow lucky, that they are somehow okay. Deep down, दूसरे बंदे की ज़्यादा problem है. The problems are more with the other person. Bhagwan has been good to me. Correct? We all have this thing, but at some stage we have to understand that no, there is a lack of meaning in my life. There is restlessness in my life, which I am trying to seek or trying to cover with a lot of different things. By meeting people that are loved more often, by uh, you know पहले हम सोचते हैं the way to cover it is through possessions. Then we say no, 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 not possessions, through relationships. Whichever way we find, we are trying to cover that. And we don't actually really know what it means to be truly in peace, to be truly happy and truly content with ourselves. We don't really know. We've had some fleeting instances of that at various times in our life, but not really, not on a continuous basis. So all we know is if I go for something more and I get it, at that moment I feel satisfied. When I'm pursuing something, right, towards an end, I get that end, I feel satisfied and happy. That's all we know. That it's possible to feel complete peace and complete happiness just the way we are right now, we don't even know. So if we know that, as and when we begin, as we listen to the Gita more and more, we are listening to these things. These are sowing seeds in our head. One day, some stage, some things are going to click, and you'll see, yeah, now I see it. Actually, I can be happy, at peace, even if I don't have any of the other things that I thought I have. That is, and then that things becomes consolidated. You see more and more of that. That becomes more and more important. It's like, they say, how are stars formed? Pehle there's a lot of dust, you know, matter in the, thoda sa clump ho jata hai. Then that clump becomes bigger and bigger. It snowballs. And then suddenly it becomes over ages, it becomes a star. So it's like a snowballing effect. It'll snowball. And then suddenly you will say, yes, now this is what I want in life, actually. This is really meaningful for me. This is what provides meaning in my life. That then you'll say, okay, now I'm a mumukshu. That means now I know what it means. When I say Brahman Prapti, what does it mean? It means being in a situation or solid in my knowledge that my source of satisfaction, my source of happiness is me itself. It's not anything else. You'll start looking at your life very differently. Then you don't have to make an effort of will to say, I shouldn't be chasing after desires. That's not the point. The point is you wouldn't want to. Your attitude will go to become, okay, if it happens, that's good. If it doesn't happen, that's good too. That's how the attitude becomes. So that's the best I can do right now to explain it. but it's not saying that don't follow your desires. Not at all. Because if you take that message, Rupa, you're going to become, it's going to make it worse. Because what is our fundamental right and what is our fundamental desire? The pursuit of happiness, as the American Constitution says. We have to pursue our happiness. It's the most, it's the most basic instinct in us, other than the survival instinct, is the pursuit of happiness. So you have to pursue happiness. Right now, if you feel the happiness comes from this, and this, then pursue that. But at some stage, you realize that may not be quite true. Especially when you listen to the Gita or listen to Vedanta, and slowly these things start making sense in your head. Your pursuit, the nature of your pursuit, it'll still be pursuit of happiness. But what you are pursuing will change. The direction you are pursuing will change. But the pursuit is still of happiness. So to say that right now, I think fulfilling desires make me happy, but I should not follow my desires. I should be desireless. That is going against the pursuit of happiness. That is saying, I don't, I should not pursue my happiness. Come on, you should jolly well pursue your happiness.
No, but what is it that is the truth about yourself that you are able to gain and then say, okay, this is it and that's no more? How will that come in? What is the truth which we have to recognize about ourselves, about Brahman?
Okay,
That
let me ask you that question. So
Hmm.
far in chapter 2, starting from the beginning, what have you got? What has Bhagwan Krishna been trying to say about the truth of yourself that you have to know?
That is what he's saying. To try to get to the truth of yourself,
But
you have to have that
he said what the truth was
eka
right in the
buddhi.
beginning.
Huh? Yeah.
What did he say? What is he said about the nature of yourself so far?
The nature of yourself, that's the thing. To get to that point, you have to have eka buddhi. You have to think one way. You have to think right.
Right,
You
but
have
he's
to
also
be.
told you what it is. He's also told you in the beginning what it is.
Yeah, he said about what are the qualities of a jnani who remains. That is a person who's a jnani is the person who's in know-how of himself. He is the person who is at peace in all circumstances, doesn't get affected by sorrow, doesn't get affected by joy,
No,
has,
I understand. I
mm,
told you what the process is, right? First,
mm,
he will tell you
mm,
your truth. Then that is Shravana.
mm.
Then you have to understand, then you do to Manana, which is to start getting
Think
conviction
about
in
it
it.
rationally.
And
Mm,
then Nididhyasana. It's
mm.
not saying you have to find out what the truth is starting from scratch. He's given you he has told you something about you, which we started Gita with those mantras by talking about those. What did he tell you about you?
What did he tell us? What did he tell us about us?
Yeah. First mantra, what was it? After we talked about, that you don't no need to be sorrowful. What was the first mantra that we studied? What did he say?
I don't remember.
Yes. So if you really want to know, you have to make the effort to at least revise what you read sometime. You can ask me, I'll give you answers, but that's an easy way out. You've got to kind of make your get into the habit of answering questions for yourself a little bit more, because then you'll be better equipped as we go down. So I'll tell you. The first thing he said, let me share it with you. See, you see this?
Mm.
So starting from 212, he said, न त्वेवाहं जातु नासम न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परम. Right? He said, there was never a time when I did not exist, neither you nor these things, nor will we ever cease to exist. Just as for the jiva, the indweller of the body, there is childhood, all of that, the context. So he started telling you that what you are is not the body, not the mind. What you are is the dehi. You remember that,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? And what are the characteristics of the dehi?
It is limitless. It doesn't have any form. It's
Yes,
always there.
exactly. Is limitless, doesn't have any form, never is born, never dies,
As yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Is complete in itself. So is complete in itself, meaning doesn't is not lacking anything. It's advitya. It's one without the other. It's not it's not imbibed with qualities like this is me, this is my dehi, and this is Mita's dehi. There is one dehi. That that dehi is complete and happy in itself. There's nothing which it doesn't have, which is lacking. That's what we are. If you realize that that's what we are, then you'll realize that that's where happiness comes from. Our sorrow is, our problem is because we think we are going to die. We are going to become non-existent. We are going to become nothing. इतनी बड़ी दुनिया है. If you look at the universe, it's so huge. उसमें छोटी सी pale blue dot is the earth. उसमें उसमें there is America and India. उसमें मैं हूँ. Like you're nothing in this world. And the world has been existing for years and years. We'll just exist for maybe 100 years if we are lucky, or 90 years. And then we are gone, we are done. So where is the meaning in this? Where is the existence in this? This is deep down, this is what is our our problem. This is our reality, the way we see it. Our reality is that we are nothing in this huge expanse, and we are now trying to make something of that because we want to be something. So how can we be something? We can be something, we'll say, okay, maybe Modi is something. He's at least become a president. People will remember him. He's a prime minister. Or Alexander the Great was something. People remember him for 2 centuries. But after some time, even after 3 centuries, maybe they'll forget him also. So, so that is our problem. Our understanding of ourselves is just this body and mind, which is perishable. But if you actually start knowing the reality, which is that you are not this body and mind, there is no reason for you to think that you're this body of mind. You are really Dehi, right? Then where is all the problems of the body and the mind become, they'll still be there, but they are not existential problems anymore.
So, Nitu, what you're saying is the Deha is the cause of all the problems,
Yes. And the Dehi is the answer.
and the Dehi is the answer.
Right. If you want to put it very simply.
Yeah.
But the journey is, this is just being told, right?
Yeah.
At this point, there is no question of anybody believing anything of this.
Yeah.
Just because Gita has said it, we are listening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? If it wasn't the Gita or somebody else who had said it, we won't even listen. Now, Gita has said it, we are listening, but what we need to know is, you need to know, you need to actually experience it for yourself. You need to actually know it with conviction for yourself, so that this is not never a doubt in your mind. This is, the question doesn't arise. The peace that will give you, that knowledge, that conviction, the fulfillment and the meaning that it will give you is the rest of the pleasures of the world are nothing in comparison to that. That's what Bhagavan Krishna is saying. And when you have that meaning and that pleasure, that fulfillment, then it will be very easy for you to say you're not going to be led by temptation. Because what will temptation give you? Just another limited pleasure for some period of time. That's what it'll give you. You know what it'll give you. You know what it is like. You know what are the limitations of it. You know how much it lasts, how it is followed by pain also. You know all that. And how it is not enough. Because it has not been enough so far. When you know all that, then everything is natural. Then you don't have to kind of, say, मैं willpower के साथ ऐसे करूँगा और करूँगी. But but in order to know it, you do need a little bit of willpower, because the way we are right now, this I can tell you all this, Meeta, and you're sitting in the car, and Billu, you're listening, and Rupa and Kiki and all, you're listening, it makes sense. But the moment you're done with this class, you're going out, you're done. You're back into your life. That's the reality of our minds. Our mind is so caught up in this world, is so deeply engaged in this world, that it doesn't have the ability to grasp something and stay with it, because it's pulled in so many different directions. So a little effort is required to get your mind ready. A little effort is needed in the beginning. It's like priming a pump. तो वह पुराने जमाने में कारें चलाते थे ना, जब they used to, वो हैंडल होता था, उससे घुमाते थे to prime the engine. You have to do it 3-4 times, but after that the engine takes over and the car runs. So maybe in the beginning you have to prime your mind a little bit. That is why Gita is saying थोड़ा सा अपना थोड़ा discipline लाओ. But eventually it will take, the knowledge will take over. The knowledge will run you. Right now you have to prime your mind for the knowledge. That's what Gita is saying. So so then the clear, at some stage, maybe the first stage is for you to get that clarity, even that this is what I want, that this is what I'm seeking. I'm seeking to understand myself as the Dehi. When you, that clarity is not there yet, right? Because we don't know why we are going to Gita for many, many different things. But we have not been going thinking that I want to understand myself as the Dehi. That's not been our reason for going to the Gita, right?
Mm.
Which is okay, it just takes time.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing, to get that solid understanding and to understand why. Why do I want to know myself as a Dehi? For that, you have to recognize that there is a problem today, that you have this issue. If the problem is even not understood, then the solution ka to koi fayda hi nahi hai. Then, it's like a salesman trying to sell you something which you
Mm,
don't think you need.
mm,
Correct?
mm.
So when we go through this chapter 2 again, then you will see this more clearly now with every shlok, how actually Bhagwan Krishna is saying all these things, because you've had one go round of it. We're not finished completely, but almost. We've had one go round of it. Now you will, when you go for the second go round, you will know, you will, these things are going to hit you a little bit more.
So just the knowledge of this, that you are the Brahman and you, that is what is
that
the
you are
truth
Dehi.
about yourself, and that is what is the ultimate happiness.
Absolutely.
You just
That
have
is
to
the that
recognize that.
yes. That is, simply put, yeah. Realizing that because it's addressing your ultimate issue. At the deep down, the ultimate issue is our belief that all I am is this body and mind. That's our belief.
And we have
Because
to
we say,
remove that.
we see people around us, well, somebody has died, he's gone. We don't see him anymore. It's our senses can't see them anymore, right? So from a sense perspective, that person is gone, is not there. Now you can say, मुझे विश्वास है कि वो अभी भी हैं. I can still, that is all in your mind. But from a sense perspective, that person is gone. So it's natural for us to think like this.
But from
It's natural
Gita's
to think,
perspective, he's not gone. That person is not gone.
well, that
Because he
person
never
may be
came,
gone,
never went, he's
but
always there.
yeah, that person may not, it depends on when you meet by that person.
The
They,
The
physical
Dehi,
body has gone.
yes, the body has gone, the
Physical
mind
body
is
is
gone,
gone.
but the
Yeah.
Dehi has not gone. And the Dehi is not, even then, we are still thinking in terms of, the main thing is, eventually you're going to start thinking yourself, my Dehi is not me, me, this body and mind. My Dehi is the core of that me. It's the, it's, and it's beyond me and this body and mind. This body and mind is just is a sort of a covering on the
Simple.
Dehi, So
So that
these things we have to really, he said, na mat paraha. So even a person who sees, these have to be really contemplated on, really understood. And it seems like a big deal. It seems like a big deal because we don't have the urge right now. Once we have a desire, this is not a big deal. Then you will do it as a natural course. This is what you'll do.
But Nitu, you also said that this is one theory. The other theory is the Dwight theory, which says there are two. So,
Yes. So
right? This
Dwight theory says
you
that
are
your
you and
reality,
God is God.
God is
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
that
are
is also
you,
another
and there's a
theory.
separate God.
So yes, this is one theory which is being taught, which is the Advait Veda, which what it tells
Advaita
in that,
Vedanta. Right.
right?
Yeah.
But you said that there is, so this is just one concept. So you have to actually, as you said last time, whichever concept goes with you, you go with that.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
feel that to surrender, so this is just one concept. This is not the ultimate.
No,
The
no.
person who's written it feels it's ultimate, but the other person who's written the other Upanishad feels that's the ultimate. So it is just
Yes.
different people's different
Yes. So
concepts.
that is why that is why at a
Hmm.
point, after a point in time, you have
Hmm.
to give up. After reading all the Gita and Upanishads, everything, you have to say, okay, put them aside now.
Now
Now I
let
have
me
to
see
think for
what holds
myself.
good for me.
Yeah, what is making sense to me? Because how can you have conviction if you're looking for, let's say that there was only one theory, there was only one Advaita Vedanta, there was nothing
Hmm.
else,
Hmm.
right? Then you would have said, okay, ab to sirf sabne ek
Yeah.
hi kaha hai, so that must be right.
So this is the ultimate truth. Hmm.
But that's what you think. You will now, even then you will say no, because it is still somebody else's truth, not your truth. It is still somebody else who's saying. When it actually comes down to it, you'll say, मुझे क्या पता, right? Because मुझे तो ये पता है कि मैं ये बिल्लू हूँ, मैं ये अलग से हूँ, correct?
Hmm.
Even then, you'll have to say, I have to know for my. If you have to commit yourself to it, if you're saying, okay, I'm going to give up this idea of me being billu and this mind and body, that's not an easy thing to give up. To
Yeah.
say, it's like you held it, it's the dearest thing to you, even dearer to you than your own children, than anything and anybody. It's the dearest thing to say that even mentally, not that you're giving it up, even mentally to say, I'm not that and I'm Brahman, is requires immense conviction. And even if just some Gita tells you it's not enough, this is something that you have to believe in yourself, know for yourself. So it doesn't really matter whether there are 100 theories or 200 theories. You have to, what we are going through is a process of contemplation. I'm giving you
Hmm.
thoughts and ideas, right? I may have my own conviction in them because I've been through a lot of this process. I've spent 8, 9 years thinking through this. So I know what the process is like. But so that's why I'm telling you, you can't. but not for you right now, right? So it has to be, at the end of the day, what is your conviction? What do you believe? What do you think? And when you're ready for it. Abhi to maybe it's more fun to just forget about all this and plan your trip to
This
America.
is abhi to is just the
Why go into all this
this is the thing that
philosophy?
we are
Chodo
reading
pare,
each
mitti
chapter.
pao.
Yeah,
है ना?
we are in
So
that stage when we are just you know taking in the things that are being read. To put it actually into your own self is going to take a lot of time.
it's going to take the time it takes.
Hmm.
Lot or less and all is all,
Yeah, for some
depends person
people
to
it's less,
person,
for some
relative.
people it's
Yeah.
longer.
It
Yeah.
takes a long time till it doesn't. You know.
How long did it
Yeah,
take
I don't
you?
know if you ever get there. I'm
No,
not
how long
sure.
did it take you
I'm not
to?
there yet. I'm on my way.
You're on your way, but that to build up that conviction.
See,
At what
for
point did
me,
that?
it doesn't, it's not, God knows how long it took because I started thinking about Vedanta when I was in college, right? I really wanted it. I had no idea what Vedanta is, but I knew I want to study it. I want to know it. This is one thing I want to do before my life ends. And then suddenly you realize one day, you're old now. You don't know when your life will end. And then that lights a fire under you. And when
Mm-hmm.
when the fire is lit, then this becomes an important objective. Then things move fast.
Yeah.
So it happens to all of us in some way or the other. We keep merrily chugging along, chugging along, chugging along, and then we have to go to second gear. So it'll take a long time because you're always in first gear, chugging along. But then you suddenly jump to the second gear, and then you say, "Oh, it didn't take too long."
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't take too long when you started moving from the first to the second gear. But you've been chugging along in the first gear for a very long time, right? So you can
That's
say
right.
it takes long, you can say it happens quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's all whatever happens, happens. It doesn't really matter.
There has to be some triggering thing which makes you want to go from the
If
first gear to
yeah,
the second.
and if you don't have the triggering thing, that's good too. Right now, whatever you've got this understanding, you've got somebody telling you right now that
Yeah.
you are the Dehi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable thought. It's a good thought.
I
It's a
mean,
good thing.
for me, I have never even thought about it this way. So this is
Yeah.
all
Oh, it's
100% new.
very new. It's a very
Yeah.
new concept
Yeah,
So,
and this
so
is it's not a it's a new concept for you
for
for
us,
you and
yeah.
Billu,
for
right?
me.
Or
Yes, for me,
but not
definitely.
for the
Yeah.
Indian, the average, not for the Indians. It's been going on
No,
for
no, for most
2,000,
of the
3,000
Indians,
years,
very few of
5,000
them.
years.
I know, no,
Nothing
it's
has
been
changed,
there for very long,
and
but
nothing
a
has changed.
limited few. Huh?
Nothing has changed. Not a word of the Upanishad, not a word of the Gita has changed
Over the years, yeah.
over the years.
Me
Nothing has
too.
changed.
Yeah. So the reason why I didn't like Vedanta and other things before, I mean, not that I didn't like, I didn't believe because when they said, worship me, I am supreme, I would get upset. I said,
Yeah,
if you're so egotistical, then I don't believe it. But
right,
when you explain it to me, you explain it to me in a different way, saying when they say, worship me or think of me, it doesn't mean worship God, but then it makes more sense to me. Then
correct.
it
So
doesn't become egotistical.
see, but remember, you are a you're in the minority because at the base core of you, you're an Advaitin. You're not a Dvaitin. Because for many people, when they say worship me, it's a relief that there is a God who, if I can worship, the God will take care of me.
Hmm.
It's a very, right? So if that is what you are, then Dvaita is what you are right now. That's what you need right now, right? But if if what it doesn't repel you when somebody says you are your own supreme body, you're your own supreme, your Atma, your Dehi, yourself, that doesn't repel you.
Yeah.
That is Advaita. Whereas
Yeah.
if it was Dvaita, we would have said you could have taken the person who was teaching you Gita before was following a Dvaita kind of philosophy. That is why he
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, worship God, because God is other than you. If you had gone to a person who was following in a Dvait philosophy, this is not the way they would have explained it to you in the first place. But anyway, that's an interesting point. But
Mm-hmm.
it's true, and it's not as if there are different philosophies. My understanding is that there is only one truth. Dvaita is an interim way to get to that truth. Because people are not ready to believe that I can be the supreme thing, that I myself am the reality. They're not ready to believe it. For them, they have to say, no, 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 man, it's not possible. There has to be a God who's other than me. So for someone like that, Dvaita is introduced as an intermediate interim step because you need that knowledge that there is a God who's taking care of you. Psychologically, you need that. That person needs that in order to start working on themselves. So what does Dvaita say? It says in a way, it says there is a different God. He's looking over everything. He's all knowing. वो तुमको पूरा तुम अच्छे काम करो वो तुम्हारा ख्याल रखेगा. Once you have that security in your mind, then you start doing good things. Then you start doing the things you need to improve your mind. That is Dvaita. Because that person needs that sort of overseeing Neeli Chhatriwala.
Mm-hmm.
But if for you it's causing a problem, then that's great. Then you don't need that. Then what you're saying is you realize your own truth, not God's truth, but your own self, your own truth. You need to start working on yourself with the intention of realizing your own truth because you yourself are that. So that's even better.
But I still want to believe in God and
So then believe
hoping,
in God.
wishing then that somebody is there to take care of me and my every,
Yeah,
all my
but
loved ones.
on the other, you one hand you say that, and then
I
on the
know.
other hand you say
That's
that if
true.
somebody tells me that God pray to me, then they say, who's this egotistical guy? So you want
I
that God
know,
to
but
take care of you, but you don't
that
want to pray to
means
him.
I'm very contradicted and
I
contradicting
know, and that's
myself.
normal, Mita, nothing new. It's normal for everybody. We are contradictory. If we actually think about, take any part and we start thinking about it deeply enough, we will come across a whole lot of contradictions. That is because we never thought about clarifying those contradictions. We are just we are so busy running around in our life that those contradictions are swept under the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
At some stage, you're going to say, okay, let me, it's both ho gaya, let me sort these out. That's what Vedanta is. Trying to resolve those
But while
contradictions.
you're doing that, you still have to live your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Of course you have to live your life. Of course you
You
have to live your
have
life.
to-
Nothing has changed. It doesn't say that you should do anything differently. It just says, are you doing it with deep down with a sense of dread and fear, which is so deep down that you don't even always, it doesn't come up all the time? Or are you doing it with a deep down sense of meaning and like everything is in place. Things are where they should be. A deep down sense of peace.
Mhm.
That's the only difference. And it's a
Yeah,
big, big difference.
yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, then. So then next time we'll meet in March.
Yes.
Yes.
Kiki, Mummy, because you want to say hi to Mummy, want us to say hi to Mummy. I'll pause the recording.
Okay.